I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear.
Ah, Ronald Reagan. For conservatives, those were the glory years. Nowadays, it's more like the wonder years, because voters are wondering what the GOP really stands for.
We heard you, America, and we understand your frustration.
The chairman of the Republican Party, Michael Steele, understands that while Republican leadership has preached conservative values of fiscal discipline, they sure haven't followed through. From reckless spending, deficits, earmarks, and bailouts under the Bush administration, the party has an image and trust problem.
We need to reestablish credibility with the folks out there. They're looking at us and they're saying, okay, we see with these guys that, okay, now we get what change is. We don't like that, we don't want that. What are you going to do? And when you start to do it, is it going to be the same old that you were doing before? Because if it is, we don't want that.
Hence the Tea Party movement, made up of disgruntled conservatives and fiscally minded independents who have soured on the GOP. Republican conservatives like Jim Bopp from Indiana understand the Tea Party frustration.
Conservatism has universal appeal. The problem is that too many people don't believe that we really will be conservative.
And polls suggest that even Republicans themselves are questioning their own party. A Rasmussen poll shows that 75% of Republican voters believe Republicans in Congress have lost touch with GOP voters throughout the nation over the past several years. Just 21% of GOP voters think their legislators have done a good job representing party values. So here's the looming question. If the party gets back to their conservative principles and sticks to them, will that alienate moderates? And will the GOP be able to win elections that way? The future of the GOP is playing out in states like Massachusetts and even here in Hawaii, where Republicans met recently to discuss the fate and future of the party. Will it go a more conservative direction or be a bigger tent for moderates? Here in Hawaii, Republicans discussed whether the Republican National Committee should dole out money only to Republican candidates who adhere to certain conservative principles on a list. But the idea didn't have enough support to pass. It was called the Reagan Resolution. And while GOP Chairman Steele is committed to conservative principles, he also knows that winning elections means you have to be a little flexible too.
I don't want the party to be in the situation where we're picking and choosing, who qualifies to be, and then you're like an exclusive club.
But conservatives wonder, where do you draw the line? For example, many of them are tired of seeing the RNC spend money to re-elect rhinos, Republicans in name only. Bopp says past Republican moderates like Lincoln Chafee and Arlen Specter are perfect examples.
When we support them, the party supports them, it demonstrates that we don't care about our views.
Getting serious. It's a common theme heard within Republican circles. After all, a bunch of broken promises over the years by Republican politicians inside the Beltway has led to this current Tea Party revolt outside of it.
We are the force to be reckoned with.
Former GOP leader Dick Armey is now one of the Tea Party's main organizers, and he came to the RNC meetings here in Hawaii at the request of conservative members who want to get the party back on the conservative track. Armey pulled no punches when speaking about the GOP.
Bless their heart, they go through more identity crises than the average college sophomore.
A stark reality check coming from one of their own.
We think of the Republican Party as being on probation. We don't particularly care to hang around with people who are making insincere promises to fulfill their political objectives.
What it also means is that when Republican leaders go out and start endorsing moderate Senate Republican candidates like Carly Fiorina in California or Charlie Crist in Florida, they are to a degree shooting themselves in the political foot. Why? Because GOP leadership is not endorsing the true blue conservative underdog and the less financed challengers in those races, like Chuck DeVore in California and Marco Rubio in Florida. Those two have been more in line with conservative principles over the years. It's why conservative Senator Jim DeMint has set up a political action committee ready and willing to dish out money to true conservative Republican candidates.
I need some new Republicans. People who believe in constitutional government, a balanced budget, and liberty. And so I'm out across the country recruiting new Republicans who I think, if they get here, will not only challenge the institutions of government, but be willing to even challenge the Republican Party and our leadership if they feel like we're going in the wrong direction. The problem here in the Republican Party is not that our base has gone to the right. The problem in the Republican Party is that the leadership has gone to the left.
It leaves one unanswered question. Can a return to a principled conservative Republican Party be an electoral winner in 2010 and beyond? We'll start getting answers in November. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.